everybody, happy Wednesday night. Today is October 18th, 2023. This is, of course, a pre recorded episode, but if you guys are listening to this, that is when we recorded today on the 18th. I'm usually joined by Jose and Dave, but we have a couple new guests in our studio today. So, first off, Jose, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. I got my trusty partner here. Hey, Rafa, say hi. He's caught up on Paw Patrol right now.
I mean, I'm probably gonna watch Paw Patrol later, so I can't blame him. But as you guys can see, Dave is not here. He's working tomorrow morning early out in England. So we are joined by two members of the Sons of Ben committee because we have a lot to discuss about the Sons of Ben, their growth, and their impact on the club. So for tonight, we have Racheal Gray and Ryan Bross from the Sons of Ben. So Racheal, I'll go to you first. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk to you guys.
Awesome, I love it. And how about you, Ryan? How you doing?
Pretty good.
Great,
Had to
man.
go check out practice today, so a little bit of a drive, but it was worth it.
Awesome, awesome. So now the reason why we have you two on, like I said, is we want to discuss the Sons of Ben. Right now, you guys have been on the Twitter sphere a lot in terms of the election coming up, as well as some pushback from maybe opposing fans for the SOB. So I feel like this is the perfect time to have you guys on to discuss what you do and kind of learn more about the community and what you're going to plan, what your plans are for 2024. So Racheal, tell me about what your title is, what you do every single week, and the impact the Sons of Ben have had on you recently.
Yeah, so I am your membership director. My job is to just grow the Sons of Ben. That includes things like making the membership kit. Currently, it involves we're doing a scarf contest for next year's membership, so I get to really push that. You'll see me at tailgates. I go around and talk to people. A lot of time I'm at check-in, just convincing people that they'll save money if they join the member list and just really growing that. Day to day for membership, like I said, is just promoting. I have a lot of conversations, trying to do things like this podcast, starting to get a couple town halls involved. Just my goal really with my membership in my position for me was just to create as much transparency and to create just more dialogue between members and the board. So that's what I do. At least I try to do the best that I can.
No, also, I think your numbers have gone up to 2,000 now, right? Is that an
Yeah,
accurate number?
when I took over last season, we finished a little under 14, and we currently are about to hit 2,000 this year. So we had a 600-person increase. So
Yeah, that's
things going
awesome.
well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Congrats. Now, Ryan, I know you've been with the SOB for a long time, so if you could tell us about what you do and what your role is with the community.
Yeah, I joined the board in November 2013. That was like the first big changeover in the Sons of Ben, I would say, in terms of leadership wise. It was right after Matt Ansbro had left, who was the third president. Kenny Hansen took over. That's when Jeff Mitchell joined. I think Bill Gustler also joined with me as at the same time as philanthropy director. I took over as TIFO from, or game day / TIFO from Tim Sosar, who then came back kind of as like a PR in the Sons of Ben. And yeah, we've been a couple of changes, couple different like I think we're on our 5th tailgate lot from this point, from 2013 on. Yeah, finally have a building with power, so that's, I mean, how many years in the making?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think Ryan, we just lost his connection. So Racheal, I'll kind of shoot to you real quick as we get Ryan back. So in terms of what you guys do every day, you and I have talked before we got on the recording about how much time is put into it. So we all know it's a volunteer group. We all know you guys put your own time, but like what really goes into how much your life has changed in terms of the hours you're putting in?
Yeah. So every position requires different amount of work, right? So membership and member at large probably see maybe the least just because our position doesn't require as much, right? So for membership, I'm doing a lot of stuff pre-season, like with building a kit, with like just making it, right? Like what components do I want in this kit? Then once I get all the materials in, building the kit, right? So I had a kit packing party this last season, which went great. Our members really do show up for those things. And then during the season, it's for me, it's really just pushing those things. But something for so like I said, for me, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of preseason stuff.
Hmm.
And then game day, obviously, I'm at the tailgates from, we show up at 2 o'clock. The board, most of the board does because we have to set up things. I'm making sure I have maybe a membership table, or I am at check-in to talk to people, but I want to talk to volunteers. I want to get all that involved. And then we usually have a board meeting once a week. Right now it's on Mondays, and that's a couple hours.
Hmm.
But something like, say, tailgate is taking so exponentially more time because they have to pick up food, they have to pick up beer, like all the alcohol, all the drinks. Kelsey, who's currently tailgate, is there even before two. She's there at like sometimes early in the morning until late at night, putting
Wow.
away tables, putting away everything, making sure they're set up, handling volunteers, making sure everyone is where they need to be. Merch takes up a lot of time because they're shipping stuff.
Yeah.
John, who's in charge of merch, is curating apparel and curating lines. And Ross is president, but he's also in charge of TIFO. He's spending so many hours painting.
Yeah. It's insane the paintings he does. Yeah.
Right. And so why we all volunteer, it really is like a part-time job because you're just putting so much time and effort. And it, like I said, it's awesome. It's really rewarding. I really do love the Sons of Ben. I obviously love what I'm doing. I think like I said before, my numbers, I think, show that. Like, I really have done every single thing I can. I think this year to push it. And I think this year I can do even more now that like I know what it looks like and I know how to prepare myself a little better. But it definitely, like I said, it changes the game for you, right? Because I'm not just showing up and having fun anymore. Now it's like a PR, and everything I say on Twitter now is like a PR thing. No matter like what my view on anything is, it's very much like oh, you're a member of the board and you think this. So
Right.
that's been a very interesting thing for me to navigate, to be like, I wasn't like, I don't get paid or anything for this. Like, I'm volunteering and it's soccer and I love it. But that's been an interesting thing for me to navigate, as I'm sure you guys have seen. I am very passionate about my
Well,
views. So
it's funny because you mentioned, like you said, viewing it as like a job. I think, Jose, this is your first real year with us in terms of just working with the network and being there. Do you feel the same way? Like when you go to stadiums, you're there as a job rather than just hanging out as a fan?
Yeah, in a way, right? Because I think that we do things very different, I think, than a lot of other maybe I hate to use air quotes, but like outlets per se, right? Like we do a lot of more like grounded. We don't, we're not putting stuff on print or anything like that. Yeah, it goes up on a site or we talk about it on a weekly basis. But I think sometimes it does feel that way, but ultimately we know that we're there to make sure that we're enjoying what the product is in terms of the union. But I also understand what you mean, right, Racheal, of like having almost like a side job in a way, right? And everything you say and everything that comes out of your technically virtual mouth or whatever fingers onto a screen it has to be calculated and it's got to be examinated. So I understand that the role in terms of what comes with it. But I'd love to hear from you as we have Ryan coming in and out. I know that there are elections upcoming, right? Or ongoing. Upcoming, I'm guessing it's not like an ongoing process maybe, but I know currently folks are trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I run for a position? What are the positions? How do I vote? What are the challenges that new board members face when they first join? And how do you as a board member set their expectations?
yeah. So how you can apply is you really just send in to the vice president or president that you are running for this. You just go, hey, I'm running for this. And the only position currently that you need to have any like pre-qualifying thing is to run for vice president. You just have to have served on the board already, which I think if you're going to run in something, that you have to already know how it works, right? I think
Right.
that just is how we wanted to do things. Also, like, we are part of ISC, which is like controls the supporter groups, and they also have rules too that we have to follow. But everything else, it's really just applying. Part of it, like we talked about, you just need to have the time, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest frustration as someone on the board or someone like involved in anything is like someone taking a position of something and then just not having the time to do it. And then the rest of the board or whoever is involved has to cover that, right? So I think anybody who wants to be on the board, and I really do encourage people, I talk about this all the time. It's really, really easy to complain or say how you want things to be different, but then not do it. Right. And I'm not saying people can have an opinion, but also you can do something. And this is what it looks like. It looks like you thinking you can do a better job. Awesome. Please run for the board. Please do that. And then please vote. Right. Like if we have the same people voting all the time, everything's going to look the same because the same people feel that way. Right. Like if you want to see change, right? For me, right, I wanted more from membership. So I ran for membership. I thought I could do a better job. So I ran for it. And that was my biggest thing. And I think running for the board is easy. Like I said, you just message the VP or president, you look at every position, go, oh, I really think I can just come in and be a support. I think I can come in and I can yell, and I don't want to necessarily run philanthropy, or I don't really want to run a specific thing, but I just want to come out, help out. That's what membership at large is for. Membership at large is just there for you to come and support the rest of the board. You come help out with game day, you come help out with TIFO, come help out with tailgates, but you're showing up. You're a body that matters, your voice matters, and you can be a voice for the people. And obviously other positions require more work, right? Philanthropy requires that you're planning events such as Help Kick Hunger, Pints for Pets, right? Tailgates, like I said, Kelsey took over last year, but this year it's up for election. So if you think you can come and run tailgates, you think you can make partners, you think you can show up, like I said, on those game days and not worry about you having a good time, but worry about putting in the work so that everybody around you and all our members are having a great time, so that you can make the best out of these tailgates, make the best out of the space that we're given, then please run. I really do encourage people. I say this all the time, but like, I want people to run. I
know
really
Jose
do.
wants me to run.
I'd love to see new faces, right? Like I want things to be I want things to be the absolute best they can. And I think the ideal board member is just someone that also wants that. It's somebody that wants the Sons of Ben to be the best that they can be, outside of their own opinions, outside of their own views, but just genuinely outside of their own egos, right? Like I don't think you can be a board member and have this big ego, right? Like I just think you need to be passionate about the Sons of Ben and where they can go and what they're doing. And I also have to think you need to understand the Sons of Ben identity, right? Like you need to understand that we're not just like at the stadium yelling. We're also big into philanthropy, right? Like our philanthropy numbers are crazy. The organizations that we're able to give back to is crazy. How we interact with the city of Chester is important. I think all of those things are important. I think that's what a board member is. I think it's somebody that cares about the Sons of Ben as a whole, not one aspect of it, but as a whole unit, and wanting it to be the absolute best they can be and putting in that work and that time for it to be that.
I think you hit on a lot of points, and Mike, don't mind me, please, for interjecting here. But you've touched on a couple of things, right? In terms of, you mentioned earlier that as a board member, your voice as an individual has to be calculated and certainly going to be examined. A couple of seconds ago, you also mentioned, you have a voice, but you also have to keep your personal opinions aside and sort of, run, I hate to say run along with the narrative, but, keep your opinions aside and do what the group wants to do. And that's totally fine. I acknowledge that and I appreciate that. But I also want to go back into, maybe, was it last year? I think there was some pressure from fans all across the country in terms of responses from many groups, and frankly some that maybe had no business maybe commentating on, in terms of the reproductive rights battle that was going on in Capitol Hill. So I'd love to hear from you, not necessarily about that specific example, but maybe as a broader conversation of the Sons of Ben has a voice in this community. You guys do a lot of work philanthropically as board members. You do your best to do the best. When there are world events occurring, such like Israel and Palestine, for example, what are some pressures that members or board members of the Sons of Ben feel from fans and members who are demanding some sort of statement? And what are the steps to work through that?
Yeah.
Are there guidelines to be followed? Because to me, that's such a difficult, thin line to walk through. And I actually had asked Mike, wasn't there something going on with the previous president that sort of put him in hot water? Whether it was right or wrong, I'm not here to decide, but it was certainly something that caused friction amongst the group. Yeah. And I know this is a difficult question. I think you're open for the conversation.
Yeah. I think part of what everybody has to remember is we have to follow the team's lead. right? We have to follow what the Philadelphia Union says. Obviously, if there's something like we like vehemently disagree on, like that we think the team really should be speaking on and they're not. But like, I'll use an example. We spoke about gun violence, right? Ale Bedoya had already done that. The team already did that. So we then get to just come alongside and support that. But for some stuff, the league says, hey, this is not, the MLS in general says, hey, we're out of this. And so supporters groups sometimes have to follow that lead. At the end of the day, we are the official supporters group of the Philadelphia Union. Right. We're not an off-branch supporters group. We're not just like a group of fans that got together and decided things. We are the official supporters group. And so in that, we have to follow what the team does a lot of the times. That's not to say we won't speak on things, because we will. And I think you've seen us do it in the past. But there is a fine line of, we are a soccer team supporters group, and we are here to support the team, and also support. We care about our members, right? I think we always care about our members. It's just, you kind of have to like set levels, I guess, of not importance, but you have to go, okay, does this pertain to us? And is it our place to even speak on, right? Is this something that we even have a right to put something to, right? So even right now, we're talking about this, what's going on in Israel, and the team, like the MLS posted some stuff, and the backlash on some of those posts are insane. It's awful.
Well, so let me follow up with that. Just that you mentioned that right there. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you guys put a post and you see people saying, oh, well, now I'm not going to be a member anymore, or now I am going to be a member. I mean, how much pressure does that put on you, especially because you're in the membership, like in charge of that? Like, if I say the wrong thing, I might lose 10 members. And yes, 10 members is not a lot, but it's still 10 people who aren't going to tell 10 other people to join the Sons of Ben.
Right.
Too. So, I mean, does that kind of go into the mix as well?
I think it's hard sometimes to have a personal opinion, right? Because like whenever we speak on, it's a board discussion. It's not just social media deciding that they want to post something. It's not just me in charge of membership deciding I want to say something. It's a whole board discussion. So as a board, for some of this stuff, right, maybe it comes to a vote. Maybe half the board says, oh, we're speaking on this, and the other half says, I don't think we should do that. Then it comes to a vote, and whatever that vote is, that's how it goes, right? So that also goes into like some of this of like, the board has internal discussions, and sometimes I might agree with what somebody else says, but guess what? If the board votes one way, that is how it is. That is the point of a board, that you have that ending opinion. But yeah, for some of this stuff, it is hard because, like I said, we love our members. We care about our members. It's just at the end of the day, we are a supporters group for a soccer team, and we have to follow the team and some of those things that they want. And again, being part of ISC, they also set standards that we also have to follow so that we can stay in that supporters group, stay connected with these other groups, and just again have that level of accountability that we're all held to.
Awesome. And that's just it, right? Because I think people lose track of that, right? And I personally do think it happens more often than it should in terms of people losing the plot or missing, the forest for the trees type of thing, where like, this is a supporters group to support soccer. This is not a lobbying group trying to change things up the hill in Washington, D.C.
Right.
The expectations are just completely out of the water, if that makes any sense. So I know this is probably not a question that maybe you were expecting to maybe touch upon, but I appreciate that you guys were able to, and I know Ryan would love to comment, but obviously he's in and out. But I appreciate that you're willing to entertain the question, because I really do think that everything that's happening in our world, in our country, our planet has been so polarizing, and to demand responses from different supporters groups that have no business probably commenting. It's totally fascinating.
Like what do we know sometimes about some of this stuff, right? What do I have a right? Like, we'll use this Israel one just as an example. What do I know? Right? What do we as a supporters group know? What does anybody on our board really know to speak on any of it? And God forbid we back the wrong thing. Yeah. And then everyone is so angry. And sometimes it really is, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. We say something, people are mad. We don't say something and people are mad. Or said before, right? You're just picking what really matters and what's worth the backlash.
Or like last year, if I remember correctly, I think you had took a couple days to even say anything, and just the fact that you took, let's say, hypothetically, 72 hours
You
was
said,
a
like, right, it
backlash.
was like 48 hours. It wasn't
It's
even like 12 hours, and people were so angry, even though there was a game that weekend, even though there was a full tailgate. Like I said, sometimes you're just darned if you do and you're darned if you don't, and people have a
And that was
timeline that they want to happen, and sometimes that's just not realistic. Like I said, like we talked about before, we are volunteers. This is not my full-time thing. Like, I've got other things going on, and sometimes you need, like I said, the board right now meets on Mondays, right? Some of that you vote on. So that's a discussion on Monday, and then maybe Tuesday you make a post, but people don't even sometimes give us the space or time to have those even discussions.
and that's interesting because again, maybe a different supporters group when being called upon to make a within the Philadelphia Union was asked, are you guys going to make a statement? And the answer was, Mike, are we allowed to curse on this? I know this is more official
yeah,
than
we're good. You're
okay.
good to go.
Their response was like, no, fuck you. We're there to support soccer. We're not here to lay a moral compass for people to follow. Who am I to say what you should believe in? I'm here to tell you that I love this team, not
Right.
whether or not you support X or Y or A or B. Like I honestly appreciate it because it was a breath of fresh air. It's just
Yeah.
super different. And I know we're gonna move on, so I'll turn it over to you, Mike. So again, I appreciate that candid answer, Racheal, because I think there's still a lot of confusion about that.
Like I said, we love our members and I want to support them. It's just we have to do it in a context that makes sense.
Absolutely. Listen, talking about the members still, I know you had mentioned earlier on about the membership kits. I've been an SOB member since I think 5 years now. I love the kits every year. They're simple. They're just exactly what I want. And I know, but that is still a topic of conversation because you see other clubs doing different things. And I was just gonna be curious. I know you guys meet every Monday. Has this been a discussion for next year? Are we gonna get any sort of leaks on the kits or anything like that? Or what type of details and things can you do every single year with those kits?
So other supporters groups charge a lot more money,
Okay. Yeah.
to be honest. And we could do that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that we try to keep things as fair as we can and something that makes sense and is accessible for a large amount of people. We make a kit, 50 membership, $50 to $100. Sure, you might get a really, really, really cool kit, but does that mean a family of 4 or 5 can buy those kits? Nope. Does that mean that a casual fan is going to buy that kit? Nope, not worth it. But you keep it at the price it is, right? And you make it accessible. You make it affordable. You make it just fun, right? This kit is not this big thing, right? It's just supposed to be something fun, something to get you excited, something for you to have to rep the Sons of Ben in fun little ways. And so we're always trying to do something new. I always want something in the kit that can be signed. Last year I did a bandana because it was such an easy thing to take with you to the meet and greets or
Mhm.
to a game and you wave it around and you get it signed and then you have it, right? We always do a scarf. I know it's a lot of scarves, but it's fun, right? It's like I think it's a big part of soccer culture. It's a big part of supporters group culture. And this year, because like I said, I'm really trying to bridge this gap between the board and membership. Part of it for me was let's bring back the scarf design. Like give me your input. Tell me what you want. And so I have a couple ideas for what I want in the kit, but I'd really like it to be based off of and surrounded by whatever this new scarf looks like, right? So we'll always have like a sticker or pin, maybe a couple other fun elements. I'm trying to bring in temporary tattoos. I think that would be so fun. I
That'd
would
be cool.
love to
Yeah.
have those. So I'm really trying to throw those in the kit this year and maybe some other ideas. If anybody has ideas, let me know. I'm
I
looking
have
for
one.
ideas.
I have one on the spot here, right?
All right, let's
There's
go.
that young lady that creates nice little lithographs, I guess, or maybe printed pieces for the Philadelphia Phillies. I know she's done Andre Blake specifically. It's like a cool little print. Maybe interesting to get her engaged to maybe do like a nice cartoon version of Subaru Park that you could just toss in into every single package. And
Dude.
she typically sells her prints for like $10 or something like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
maybe it's manageable. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'll have to get you in touch with her.
Yeah.
But
I would love
I think that sounds cool because and I appreciate that too. Of as a dad of two with my wife and and I got to be completely transparent with you, Racheal. I'm not a member because I just haven't and never really gave it any thought. But like that can add up very very quickly. One evening at the Philadelphia Union can very quickly turn into a $200 and some dollar event.
Correct. It's like I said, it's crazy how much you can spend, which is why when I go, hey, you're a season ticket holder, you come to 3 tailgates.
Yeah.
come to 3 tailgates, you make your membership money back, and now you're spending $10 for like 15 hot dogs instead of $10 for like half a hot dog in the stadium. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
it
that,
does make sense. If you're coming to games, like if you're coming to multiple games a season, why wouldn't you?
and that's the thing too. If you are a member, the tailgate's cheaper as well. But what I think, I know Jose, you started coming to tailgates this season, and you're like, this is like really affordable and like a really good environment. It's definitely.
Once you all switch from gravel to actual like normal ground, and my shoes wouldn't be ruined on a rainy
Oh my
day, like,
gosh, I know.
Thank
and
you,
I'm not a
Philadelphia
sneaker
Union.
person, but yeah, I'm not a sneaker person, but honestly, I was so turned off by the Dust Bowl that it became towards the later, stages of the summer.
Yeah, now we just gotta hope that like we don't burn on the asphalt. That's what I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to get some misters or fans out here. But yeah, we I think the longer we're at this lot as well, you're gonna see more cool things happen, right? This is our first year at this at this new spot, and look how much has already happened. Look how much it's already developed, and I think you're gonna get even more of that in the next couple seasons. Obviously, I don't know what that looks like yet, but I know that it's gonna be brilliant. I know that Kelsey has already been talking and has really pushed and really made, I think, this season's tailgates memorable. I think she's done a lot of really, really cool things, and I can only imagine what is going to happen in the future with this lot and the possibilities that we have coming.
Well, so like you mentioned, like things at the tailgates. For me, I know the Red Bull game is always like burning the bowl, and that was the pinata thing this year was so cool because one, it was different, but two, like it got people involved in the actual destruction in a different way. It was like, it was just nice to take your anger out on this thing for like three, swings at it. So that was fun. But
Yeah.
also, I know you had voiced your opinion. I think it was you, at least on Twitter, a long time ago when the Union Yard got brought into the mix.
I did. I
So
did.
I've been to so many tailgates this year, and it's always when before the games, it's the Sons of Ben tailgates by far much more crowded. Afterwards, the yard is still open. They have like the cornhole and they have like the taco stand, etc. So that's definitely more of like the post game, you know, place to go. I mean, what has been the dynamic dealing with that all season, or what do you think you guys can benefit from together moving forward? I mean, I would love to just know more about what has gone into all that with
Yeah.
the Sons of Ben and with the Union.
So I was very vocal in my dislike
That
of
was you.
it. I will
Okay.
not hide from that. I don't necessarily actually I don't take back any of it, to be really honest. I stand by what I said. You mentioned the pinata thing. That's what happens though when like the team collaborates with us. Like when the front office and the Sons of Ben collaborate, I think really, really cool things happen.
Mhm.
Only so much can happen when it's just the Sons of Ben doing it by yourself, when it's just a board of say 9 to 10 people doing it by yourselves, right? There's only so much we can figure out. I love that Union Yards does something after. I think that is brilliant. I think it is brilliant. I think that it could be a really great thing. Again, we a lot of the time send people over with like stickers and like membership handouts to Union Yards. So like we're definitely using it to our advantage. I personally would have just liked to have a little more collaboration with the front office. I would love to see that. I would love to collab more with the front office and do really cool things because I think that whole strip, right, with them and us could be something really special. I think it is just what it is right now. But like I said, that Red Bulls game, that's what happens when the team and the supporters group collab, right? That's what happens when the front office gives support and you get to collab and do really fun things. And I'd love to see more of that. I really would. I just a lot of that stuff just, involves a little bit on the front ends
Yeah.
part. And I don't want to speak too much on that because that is not conversations I have. That would be more of a Bros and currently Jess, our vice president, conversation. So I don't want to speak too much on that and misspeak on anything because I just don't want to, give myself in more hot water than I
Fair
put
enough.
myself in by myself. But yeah, I just I think I was frustrated in the beginning. For me, and again, if you looked at comments on that post, a lot of people felt the same way. They said, "Why are you throwing a tailgate across from your supporters group? Like, why are you directly competing?"
I do like though that the SOB have not only stood their ground but have actually been like thriving.
Oh
Because
yeah,
those tailgates are awesome. I really do enjoy them. They're a lot of fun. Everybody there is super nice. It's the parking situation's not terrible. It's
yeah.
just
It's
it's a
not
good time.
awful. I wish we
No,
had our own, I wish we had our own parking lot like we did before, but hey, I'll take a building over a parking lot, I guess. We can walk a little bit, but having a building, especially during those rainy games and stuff, Game changer.
I was about to say the building has been a nice touch because you're right. It has rained, I think, like almost every other weekend on a Saturday, and it's
Right.
just nonstop. So it's nice to at least have a place where your food is, where your supplies are. You guys have a nice little stand where all the clothing and like the merch is, which is also pretty cool. But it's not just out in the like little van you guys had
Yeah.
before. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a nice touch there. But in terms of, I guess, the Sons of Ben, I know so guys discuss more of the opinions on it and things like that. I know recently, this is also something you and I had talked about online, was the anti SOB and stuff like that. I mean, have you some of the things I've heard online, and correct me if I'm wrong or if they're wrong, is that there hasn't been as much conversation with people as they would have liked in the SOB committee. Do you feel like that's fair, or do you feel like maybe it's not being approached the right way, or would you recommend a way to approach you guys? Say, hey, if you want to talk to us, do it this way, and we'll meet you here or do that. Because I don't think all the opinions are necessarily wrong. I do think some change is good. And like for me personally, I don't like the megaphone. That's just my personal preference.
Right.
Some people love it. So what are some things that you guys have actually considered changing for next year? Or what are some things you just cannot change because either the league policy, the front office, etc. Like I'd just love to hear more of your thoughts about that.
Yeah. So again, this is another one where I'm gonna be careful in what I say so I don't get myself in
Fair.
trouble. Um, we had a town hall and 10 people showed up,
Okay.
right? Like
Yeah.
we have I go out every tailgate and I hand out stickers and I introduce myself, but
Mhm.
yet nobody has conversations in person, right? We see a lot on Twitter, we see a lot on Reddit, but like
Yeah.
I'm in charge of membership and I'm asking people questions, but yet nobody says anything to me. Um, so and again, I can only talk from my Racheal Gray experience on the board and what I see in the conversations I have, right?
Mhm.
But like this concept of like I don't even know the board is hard for me sometimes because, like, we'll say a tailgate, for example, right? Bross is making the TIFO, actively
Yeah.
painting outside. You see him do it. He is right there. Kelsey is doing the tailgate, running around, doing beer truck, like the beer trailer. Jess, our vice president, is handing out food. John is at the merch table every game.
Mhm.
Eric's in charge of philanthropy. He's always there. He's always talking to people. He's always doing things. He's always bringing people in. And so do I think like we're looking into like getting shirts or lanyards or something made to like make the board stand out a little bit more,
Yeah.
but also like sometimes and I hate saying this is all on members, but sometimes it does just require just like a little bit because there's 10 of us on the board, right? There's only
Yeah.
so many 10. I think it's 10 or 11. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're trying. Like I'm at the check-in table. I'm checking you in. You're telling me about your week, but you're not telling me the complaints. And then I see you on Twitter on Monday or Sunday and you're yelling and telling us we're not doing a good enough job. And that's hard, especially for me as membership, where I'm like, well, I took over at 14 and we're at 2,000. So
Yeah.
where am I not doing enough for you? Like, what else do you want from me is where I struggle sometimes because I'm like, I can show you what I'm actively doing. So and like I said, I was like, I handed out so many stickers this season because
Mhm.
at the town hall, they said
Yeah.
they didn't know their board members. And I said, not you're not saying that about Racheal
You
Gray.
you did that with me. I remember it was I think for the Military Appreciation Day.
Yeah,
You saw me from like 100 feet away, and you just beelined right. So I was
yeah.
like, "Hey, Rachel." You're like, "Hey, Mike. All right, I gotta go." I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
that's
see
what I'm
you."
saying. Nobody was saying they didn't know Racheal Gray this season because
No.
I was out here putting in work. Like I really was because I don't want that. I don't ever want that. I don't want like this concept of this is a small knit group or this
Yeah.
is clicky. I hate that. It makes me like really sad because again, I don't see that. Like I'm not seeing that
Mhm.
on the board and it's not like I'm me and John, who's in charge of membership, are dating, obviously, but like outside of that, it's not like me and the board are like hanging out. We're not like
Yeah.
friends, right? Like we're in this together because we believe in it and I care about them as people, but like it's not like we were friends and now we're all on the board. It was
That's
just
true.
all individual people that thought they could do a good job. And so they ran for it.
So then, in terms of the town hall, when is the next town hall? Or do you guys have anything planned that maybe you
That's a
can
great
kind of get?
question. Um, my guess, I'm trying to push for an end of the season one. So probably after playoffs, just so we can have like all right, guys, this is what this season looked like. I would love to have maybe each again, none of this is definite. This is just Racheal Gray talking about
Sure.
what I'd like to see. And obviously that's a board discussion, but I'd love to see like everyone submit maybe like a report. Like, this is what I did in my position this year. This
Mhm.
is what it looked like for me. And then we have a town hall and people can ask questions. I just think sometimes the struggle is like people just yelling and just being like, you're not doing a good enough job. You're not doing a good enough job. You're not doing what I want. So I don't like you. And I'm going to make an anti-Sons of Ben page.
I love
Even
it.
though I might have never ever once signed up to Capo. I might have never once signed up to volunteer, and I might not even be a member, but I'm going to tell you that you are not good enough. And that's kind of where I struggle. I am just a big proponent of like, if you don't like something, like, let's help me be the change in that, right? But like people say about Chance, right? If you could see the submissions we get for Chance, you would also be like, oh, you can't do that. You can't yell that. Like, I can't sit here and yell curse words from the stand, right? And also like people like don't think like, oh, I probably have a minute to get a chant out, right? So like you're sending me chants with 13 verses. What do you want me to do?
It's like Bohemian Rhapsody in a chant form.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I know that a new chant was submitted recently that like I know that we're gonna try it. It's a chant for Blake.
I saw that. It
so like,
wasn't
you know
bad.
what I mean? Like I think it's not awful, right? But again, part of it is then you try something new and people go, well, that sucks.
I know. I think Matt Ralph had mentioned online, like I posted about this whole thing, and Matt Ralph basically said, like, if you're not changing and constantly developing, nobody's going to complain about it because it's just this, it's just this old fashioned. Like you have to constantly develop, and you will get complaints because people don't like change sometimes. I don't mean that's not his exact quote. Don't quote me on that, Matt. But essentially, that's what he's kind of saying. That with growth comes complaints, and with growth comes issues and hurdles, and you're going to have a chant that sucks and you're gonna have a chant that's great, and that's the whole point of trying out new things. I mean, Jose, now I know you sit more by KSU a lot. They are very steady on their chants, the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chants they have every time. What are your thoughts on it from being somewhat of an outsider perspective on the SOB chants or anything else we've talked about?
I think this maybe leans into the next question, if I may. You talk about trying new things, and now you're mentioning the 140 group, Mike, in terms of them sticking around with maybe the same chants and whatnot, which I've come to appreciate selfishly. It's something that I know that the 5 or 6 chants, and I look like a fucking baller when I bring guests with me, right? Because like I'm singing every song and I know every word. And granted, they're fun, right? But my question to you, Racheal, and I really wish Ryan was here for this one. I'd be interested to hear from both of you, or maybe the group as a whole, and maybe this is a follow-up, but it really does seem like the River End is diluted in a sense. Meaning that it's mainly filled with people who are there for cheap tickets, right? They go to StubHub, sort by lowest, and I can't blame them, right? Times are tough. Economy is very, very difficult and complicated at this moment. Has the board, the Sons of Ben as a whole, considered not relocating, but maybe condensing everybody into 2 or 3 sections to maybe have a more powerful effect rather than having what is it, 133 through technically 139, 140? Because whenever I go to I own 2 seats, or I'm a season ticket member for 2 seats in 140. And every single week I see the same 15, 20 people from row, whatever I am, K, all the way up to the very, very top. And I see them every single week because they are who they are, right? We don't have to get into who they are, but they are who they are. And they're there every single week. The drum, sometimes the trumpet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when I look over at 139, 138, 137, and I try to make my way across, I see a few faces that look familiar, right? You have the Almaneys, you have Billy, you have et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, the rest, it's like, dude, this could be a character out of The Sims. I've never seen this face before. I have no clue. And again, long way to ask, have you guys considered condensing to avoid having all of these crazy amounts of 20 people in a row that don't know anything because they're there for cheap tickets?
So part of that, the Sons of Ben used to be, you had the River End in general, it used to be you had to be a Sons of Ben to buy tickets. But guess what? Then the team stunk and nobody went. So the team said, well, I lost money. So now it is whoever wants to buy them. So sure, I would love. So what 140 did is they said, oh, that section's empty, and all of them bought the tickets, right? But nobody was there. The problem with us condensing is people own those seats, right? Like that would require people giving up their season tickets, and that is not going to happen, to be really honest. It's not, right? And then they sell their tickets, and so outside of like the team setting the front office setting a precedent and going either back to you have to be a Sons of Ben, or this has been interesting, you go GA, which is what other supporter groups do, right? But also other supporter groups have supporter sections that are designed for supporters group. So they have safe standing.
That's right.
They
Yes.
have other things, but guess what? The River End right now is not that. I mean, half our seats are cracked. Like, so that's a hard one because again, 140 is loud because like you said, it's a condensed group. But there's really nothing I can do outside of like us going to the front office, which like it's not like we haven't had those conversations, but they have to think it's worth it. So hopefully, right, it looks for me like I keep working on membership and I get to a number and I go, hey, look how many members I have. Can we do something now? Can you give me one second? But again, a lot of that has to do with people wanting to get rid of their season tickets and being okay with going, I want the best for the Sons of Ben. And so I'm going to give up my front row seat because I really don't want to cheer.
Yeah.
Until that happens. Because again, we are this official supporters group. We have to go where they tell us to go.
And that's where I'm amazed, Racheal, in terms of, you mentioned that strong core that makes up 140 and in terms of like, I am actually the games that I haven't gone or the games that I'm actually sitting in the press box, like I should be every single week, but I do have my own 2 seats, so I don't feel bad. I'm always amazed at just how loud that small section can be. And I can only imagine the magnitudes of how much more loud or louder that, you're talking 2,000 members, Racheal. Sure. If all these members were there, that's a different story. But if all of them that are there most days are condensed and together,
yes, it would be loud.
It would be amazing. Right? And you wouldn't need, which is constantly the argument and a lot of different channels, the megaphones, right? It would be a very, very interesting, different, and different atmosphere. But yeah, just something I wanted to, and I myself, again, fully transparent, Mike knows this, I've told him, fully back general admission for that section, for that entire group.
I do as well.
And I would love that. And I would hope that that's something that happens, but that also means unpredictability, losing a sense of ownership, which I think people also value in a way too. So it's a fine balance that the front office has to find, and probably won't lose considering that they're boasting about selling out every single home game. So
the front office is already enough hot water right now, but that's a different topic for a different.
I think we need to have safe standing. Like, I think that some things need to happen in the River End on the front office end for it to ever be the best it can be. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I fell down my seats just because like someone behind me gets excited and I topple forward. So like I said, some of that stuff is front office. I'd love the Sons of Ben to go back, to having to have that ticket to sit in those sections, even if it was just, like you said, 135, 136, 137. If it was just those 3 sections, you had to be a Sons of Ben member to sit there. Awesome. I'd be down for that. And that's, again, part of where the megaphones come in is because we have so many casuals. And again, some of that is Rob is in charge of game day, and part of those are his decisions and what he wants for the Sons of Ben. That's his job. And so I don't want to speak on too much of that because, again, that is not my job. That is not my role. I do know that he has some changes happening. You might not see them this season, but I think you'll see them next season. We just have playoffs yet right now. Right now is not the time to make these huge. It's not the time, and it's not going to go well.
No, I completely agree with that. And it's the fact that the reason why we wanted to have you on was just to simply discuss this more, because I think a lot of people don't know all this. Even the stuff about you said about the season ticket holders, I didn't even think about that. I was like, you're right. You can't just take somebody's ticket away.
Like it's out.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead,
Wesley. I think you're going to see changes next season. I just think I think you are. I think you are going to see changes next season. It's just like I said, I don't want to speak too much on that because that's not my role, and I don't want to overstep ever. That's, like I said, conversations that we have as a board is not things that the general public needs to know, right?
Yeah,
I do know there's going to be changes happening. It's just you might not see it the rest of this season. You might see it next season. But again, membership at large is a great time to come in. That really helps with game day. It's a great thing to run for if you want to be involved in that.
Jose's been nudging me. I can't do it, but I'll think about it maybe in 1 year.
I'm telling you, like I said, if you are someone that doesn't want to be involved in directly in one specific thing, but you just want to help out and you have the time to dedicate, membership at large is great. There's like 3 events right? There's 3 events a year. You have to 2 events. Help Kick Hunger and Pints for Pets are really the 2 events that we really need help with. And then it's just helping out at different tailgates and stuff. So people can run, they can run, submit cheers, but just like think about things that when you're in the stadium that you would really want to chant, and just remember that like there's families there, and not that we can always do it, but like we also do. Like we are yelling things through, like we can't do the YSA chant, right? So why people think we can yell things like some words that maybe other supporter groups can yell, but the Sons of Ben cannot yell them. We cannot yell some of these chants from a stand. So I just think people should always consider that of like, we are under accountability from multiple things such as ISC, right? So we can't also like sit there and scream at the other team vulgar things because again, we're part of ISC. We can't yell at other supporter groups awful things because you can get kicked out of ISC. Other team supporter groups have been kicked out for being bad fans. And that is not something I ever, the Sons of Ben have a great standing with ISC and other supporter groups. And, I might hate those other supporter groups that game, but outside of that, I do not. We had just a couple people from Nashville come to the Sons of Ben tailgate for that Nashville game and tell us how impressed they were. And so I always want to keep that. I want to keep that standing. And, I think the Sons of Ben can always do better. I think we can always grow. I think we can always do more. It's just those conversations have to happen in a way that's respectful and where members, I hate saying this, but like it is a $30 membership.
It's
I am not asking you to sell your firstborn. I am not asking really a lot. I just want a general respect. And I want people to understand that like, we volunteer for this position and I respect my position. I know I respect them, but also like I cannot do everything. And like we have to have real conversations that are not just let's make an anti-Sons of Ben Instagram page because we don't like a megaphone. Like you don't like a megaphone, so you want to abolish a group. That isn't, I don't care. That is insane.
I love the petition form too.
That's bananas. Yeah. Oh God.
Because like you said, a lot of those comments are fair. They are valid concerns and they are valid critiques, but you're yelling about it on a Reddit or an Instagram anti-Sons of Ben page. Do you think any of us on the border listen to you? Nope. I'm telling you right now, I'm just getting angrier and angrier because I have, like I said, because I put in work. I put in a lot of work this season. And I know a lot of the board have put in a lot of work this season, right? We got a whole new building. Merch put out different collections all season. I mean, John put in hours and hours into making collections, and the fact that people are really, and I get it, game day is so important, but like, it's just not all we are. And sometimes, I'm not saying we can't be better. I agree with the critiques, but like, you got to have those conversations in ways that it matters and ways that it's helpful. And right now, these like Reddit, Twitter things, not helpful. It's not. It's just like, they're not really conversations. It's just people yelling into the void behind fake usernames. But yet, like I said, or people yell at me on Twitter, but then they see me at a tailgate and nobody has a conversation with me. So like, how much do you really feel about it if you don't want to talk to me in person about it? You just want to yell about it on Twitter? Because if you just want to be angry, but like stand behind it. Because like I said, I'll just defend myself, like use myself as an example here. I sure yelled about Union Yards, but guess what? Guess who had to talk to the front office? Me.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess what? Guess who had to have those conversations in person? Me. Like I had to stand behind those words, but I did it. And so that's what I also just want for others. I want us to have these conversations. I just want them to be in ways that are forward moving.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Racheal, I appreciate you joining us. It's unfortunate that Ryan's connection couldn't hold. I know he messaged us saying my connection's not going, so we'll have to have Ryan on again because I know he does amazing work. He's a great guy. I met him a few times.
Great present.
So last thing I'll say here. First of all, again, thank you again for joining us. If people do want to reach out to you, can you send us your, say your Twitter handle, your email? Like, how can people get in touch with you? And then where can we find you next? I guess you'll be playoff time, right?
Yeah, playoffs, man. I'm really, really excited for it. I think we could have a great run. If you have Sons of Ben questions, you can email me at racheal.gray@sonsofben.com. I'm on Twitter at Racheal Gray, Instagram, Racheal Gray. Racheal with Racheal. I spell it wrong.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I
I was like, that's not how you spell Racheal.
Yeah, my parents spelled it wrong. Well, they did it on purpose, but they just knew I was going to have a big personality. I had to have a name to go with it. So, but I really do. Funny. I encourage everyone, come find me, come talk to me. I would really love to have a respectful, honest conversation. I think you'll be surprised by how much I agree or disagree with you, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think I've been trying to make myself as open as I can. I really do care about our members, and I do care that we grow as much as we can. So,
No, it's awesome. I
Mm.
appreciate it. And listen, next time at the playoff games, I'll be sure to say hi to you as well and chat
thank
with you
you.
more. Try to track you down because you're
We have
busy. I
awesome
know.
stickers. We got new stickers, and also just not to plug it that much, but we are pre-ordering raincoats. They're the coolest raincoat.
I
It
already
brings
got
so
one.
many games.
I
They're
already
sick.
got.
They're
Yep,
so
they're
sick.
so nice.
And also,
Jose, you got to get one too.
submit scarves. Submit, and yeah, Jose, come be a member. My kit's really
Yes.
cool. In case you're curious, really awesome. It's great. Next year's gonna be better because one of our members is hopefully designing me a really cool scarf right now, and I can't wait to see them.
Awesome.
I have a couple of people I want to get you in touch with. And Mike, surprise, we're getting some stuff sent out of New England. Somebody who's making shirts and they want us to wear them. Some cool shirts that we're gonna debut on a podcast soon. So
I
I'll,
Let's
like
go.
it.
Give me
Racheal,
a hookup. I'll take them all.
yeah, I'll get you in touch, Racheal, with the contact and also that other person. But no, I think this was super helpful, Racheal, as somebody who frankly has been skeptical about the group in a lot of ways, right? I think you hit on a lot of points that I was feeling without really realizing that maybe they were unfounded, right? It felt cliquey, cultish, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You've eased a lot of those concerns for me. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate the candidness and the willingness to have some of these hard conversations. But I think for now, Mike, we're good to go.
Good to go. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great night. We'll be back Monday night as always. And again, Racheal, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks,
Bye bye.
guys.